So in this series of videos, we're going to make a game. We're going to make Snakes and Ladders. So Snakes and Ladders is a very old game, and there's lots of interesting historical information on Wikipedia if you want to read it. But also on Wikipedia, if you look at it, there is also a set of rules. So we'll go down to the gameplay section, because this is what we're actually interested in. Will inform us about what we need to do. So the game is played on a grid. Each of the squares is the same size, and there's about 100 of them in a 10 by 10. And what happens is you start at the bottom and you zigzag or snake your way up to the top, which is the last square. And the rules are pretty simple. If you land on the bottom of a ladder, you get to get a boost all the way up to the top. Or if you land on a snake, you have to follow it all the way down to its ending point. So you get a kickback or a push down the board towards the start. Movement is pretty easy. There's a dice. And so when you roll the dice, you move that many spaces forward with your counter. And if you roll a 6, you get to roll again. Now, the rules say the person who's first to bring their token to the last square is the winner. But there's a little bit of a variation in the rules. It depends on how you want to play, whether they have to land exactly on the large square or whether they can actually overshoot it and still actually claim that as a victory. So I think we will plan to make them have to land exactly on the last square without overshooting it to win. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to build a mind map to kind of break down the things that I need to do. Okay, so this is my Snakes and Ladders mind map. Okay, so what do I need to do for Snakes and Ladders? Well, the first thing I need to do is think about the board. I need to think about the players, i.e. the tokens. I probably need to think about the dice. Now, what do I need to think about the board?
That's great.
With the board, I need to think about the squares / the grid arrangement. I need to think about the zigzag layout. I also need to think about the ladders. And I need to think about the snakes and how they're going to work. So the zigzag, how's that going to work? Well, for the zigzag, it goes left, starts on the left, goes left to right, and then back again. It also moves up the board. So I'm defining a little bit all the problems. With the ladders, I need to think about the starting point, and I need to think about the end point. And that's also information that I'm going to need for the snakes. Now, for both of these, they're going to work kind of the same way. So effectively, they're pretty much the same thing. The starting point will be a trigger to move. Same down here. And the endpoint will not be a trigger for anything, really. It'll just kind of be a destination. So really, the snakes and ladders are the same thing. So they're really like just shortcuts. So what I've noticed is there's a bit of pattern recognition here. They're the same thing. So I'm actually going to put them on the same branch. And so I'm just going to clear this up a little bit. And I can get rid of that. Okay, so I'm just going to add. So I'm just rearranging this to they're really just labels or types that do the same thing. They just have a different label, and they may have a different slight physical representation. So for mine, I'm probably going to keep the graphics pretty simple. So the snakes are going to be red, and the ladders, I don't know, some type of brown or yellow color. So they're all just shortcuts with different names. Now, anything else I need to know about the board? Yeah, for the board, I need to number each square. Oh, and it's also a 10 by 10 grid. So I'm really just thinking about exactly what I have to deal with here in great detail. What else do I know about the board? It's 10 by 10 grid, the numbers in each square, it does the zigzag, left, right, and moves up to the top. It's got snakes and ladders on it. And that's pretty much all there is to the board. Okay, the shortcuts are pretty sorted. What do I know about the players? The players are going to have a location on the board. They're probably going to have some type of shape. I suspect it's going to be a circle, because a circle's easier to draw. And each one's going to have a color, a unique color. With the dice, it's just going to be a random 6-sided dice throw. Anything else I need to keep track of? Oh, yeah, I need to keep track of. I need to track the following data. So I'm going to have a section called data. I'll just keep a track. So I might repeat some things here that I've already dealt with. But the data is I need to track of whose turn. I need to track the player locations. And I need to track the shortcut locations. And I also need to have some type of tests for victory. Okay, so I'm just going to form this a bit more nicely. I'm going to rearrange it so it's a bit more symmetrical. Okay, so that's what I have to build to actually implement snakes and ladders. I better spell victory correctly. Okay, so that's my snakes and ladders mind map. In the next video of the series, I'm going to set up my development environment, and then I'm going to decide what I'm actually going to build after that.